and gentlemen. Welcome to the 7-Figure Fashion Business Podcast,
where we talk about the fashion industry and how to get your fashion business to 7 figures.
From manufacturing strategies, cut and sew designers, to fashion hot topics and the latest fashion trends, I'm your host, Monica Monique.
And I'm your host, XYZ. And let's jump into today's episode.
Good morning. Today we are doing a fashion update episode. It's been a week and I need to tell you what is going on in the fashion world. So let's get into it. Number one, Balmain. There has been a whole bunch of switch ups at Balmain. So if you haven't heard, on November 5th, Balmain announced that Olivier Routhsteing, who's been the creative director of Balmain for the past, I think, over 10 years, took their company from 34 million to 344 million. Is no longer the creative director. Now, in the note from their website, it says, I sincerely extend my gratitude to Olivier. I'm saying Olivier, but it's spelled Olivier. It could be Oliver, but I'm pretty sure it's Olivier or Olivier. I sincerely extend my gratitude to Olivier for his extraordinary contribution to Balmain. Olivier's vision, leadership has not only redefined the boundaries of fashion, but also inspired a generation with bold creativity, unwavering authenticity, and commitment to inclusivity. This is from Mr. Rashid Mohammed, the CEO of Balmain and chairman. Let's see, Mateo, also CEO of Balmain, said, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Olivier for writing such important chapter in the history of Balmain House. Olivier's contribution and passion over the past years will leave an indelible mark in the history of fashion. Olivier said himself, I am deeply proud of all that I have accomplished and profoundly grateful to my exceptional team at Balmain, my chosen family, in a place that has been my home for the past 14 years. My thanks go to Mr. Rashid Mohammed and Mateo Gabosa for their unwavering belief in me and entrusting me with this extraordinary opportunity. As I look ahead to the future in the next chapter of my creative journey, I will always hold this treasured time close to my heart. Now let's get into the comment section, because this was a shock to a lot of people, because he really did make Balmain come back to the forefront of fashion for the past 14 years, like he said. But I think for the past 10 years, it has been a notable difference. And I feel like he found his footing, and his creative output for his collections were immaculate. And he really became not just like the face of Balmain, but really the face of young fashion creative directors who were making their statement in the fashion world and really like shaking things up. Now, back to the comment section. Someone said, amazing designer, you accomplished so much. I can't wait to see what the future brings for you. Someone else said, thank you, Oliver, for 14 years of beautiful styles at Balmain. Looking forward to see what you do next. Someone else said, what a legend. Thank you for everything. Someone else said, it's about time. That's a rude statement. Someone said, Olivier deserved a better and more respectful goodbye as he rebranded the whole brand. Wish this was announced before his last show so that people would have known and not with an IG post. I hope you honor him in the way he really deserved. So that's an interesting take. So they're basically saying like it should have been announced, which most collections do, announce before their last show so that people could show up for their last show and really honor that creative. I didn't even think about that before reading that comment. Someone else said, I knew of Balmain through Olivier and the Kardashians. I'm sad to see him go. So that's just some of the comments, but that was November 5th. Now, they have already announced a new creative director. This was, what day was this? It was 5 days ago, so it must have been on November 10th they announced the new creative. Okay, so the new creative director announcement says Balmain announces Antonin, Antonin, Antonin. I think that's Antonin or Antonin. Tron is the new creative director. He says, I am deeply honored to be joining Balmain. I am grateful to Mr. Rashid and Mateo for entrusting me with this extraordinary house. I wish to express my gratitude to Olivier Routhsteing for building Balmain into the global brand that it is today. Balmain has truly inspired history. At its heart, the house embodies savoir-faire, culture, sensuality, and elegance, fashion that is radiant, precise, and bold. This resonates deeply with me, and I feel privileged to have the opportunity to build on this incredible legacy. Again, that's Antonin Tron, the new creative director of Balmain. Now, let's get into the comments section. First comment I see says he has some big shoes to fill. Olivier did iconic work. A lot of people are saying congratulations and bravo. Somebody said, one thing I admire about Balmain is how, while most brands recycle the same names, they give new creative voices a chance to shine. Fresh energy is what keeps fashion evolving. Someone else said, bravo, Antonin. I need to look into his back history. I mean, a lot of people are saying congratulations. I wonder if there was some people that felt like, wow, that was fast. Like, not only did you not honor Olivier for his last, what would have been his last fashion show, but then you also throw this new person up 5 days later and don't really give the news time to breathe either. Now, I want to go into this post that I saw. This girl talking about the road to being a creative fashion director. She talks about how a lot of fashion directors have gone to the same schools, gone through the same programs, and really are all within the same cliques. Let's listen to her perspective on how to become a creative director of one of these big fashion houses.
In fashion, and I want to talk about it. The school to creative director pipeline usually goes school, prize, personal label, and then creative director appointment. The appointment of Grace Wales Bonner to Hermes menswear had me looking into her past and what was successful. There was one thing I began to see that was common amongst all these designers. They've either won some kind of prestigious prize like the LVMH Graduate Award or the Andam Award, and these play key roles. It's a moment of recognition that is a mix of visibility, resources, and validation that often becomes the difference between being a promising graduate and a household industry name. So it's great news. Fashion school can lead you to a creative director role if you play it right with intention. So Grace Wales Bonner won the LVMH prize, then started her label, and then became creative director. Peter Doe took a similar route, graduated from FIT, also won the graduate LVMH prize, then worked under Phoebe Philo at Celine before launching his own label in 2023, which ultimately landed him into the creative director of Helmut Lang for that time. Meryl Rogge recently just won the Andam Award in 2025 and is now the creative director of Marni. Duran Lantink won the Karl Lagerfeld Prize and Woolmark Prize and is now the creative director of Jean Paul Gaultier. And an honorable mention, Anthony Vaccarella won the Anzam Award in 2016 and then became the creative director of Saint Laurent. So what I'm trying to say is when you win these awards, it basically validates you in the industry. The leads of fashion houses do rely on these awards to basically show them upcoming promising talent. The pattern's the same. Education shapes their skills, the awards amplify their voice, and then their point of view makes them timeless. So if you're in fashion school right now, this is maybe something that you can tap into. Treat fashion school like your job, not with pressure, but with purpose. Know what your creative identity is, even if it evolves. Use every project to move closer to it. Apply for everything. Grants, programs, contests. Each one helps.
So anyway, I thought that was very interesting because obviously I've heard of some of these awards, but I did not realize that a lot of these new creative directors are all recipients of this award. I feel like that is very interesting. And now my goal is to get one of these awards so that I can become the next creative director of Versace. This girl, her Instagram name is Girl Into Fashion. And let me just look up and see if I can find the name of that award that she mentioned again. It is the LVMH prize is one of the awards, or the Andam Award, ANDAM. So we need to look into these awards and try to get these awards so that we can also be creative director of Balmain or Louis Vuitton or Gucci or whatever. If this is something that is the common thread between a lot of these new creative directors, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Okay, now next. Are you into vintage? Have you been seeing a lot of these vintage or thrift store shoppers pop up and tell you about all the great finds that they have for Coach purses, Louis Vuitton bags, Hermes bags, etc.? Hold on, let me wait for this fire truck to go by. Okay, so if you have, let's take a listen to this content creator's perspective on what she has been seeing.
Chanel is losing to vintage Chanel. Gucci is losing to vintage Gucci. Demand for pre-loved luxury is currently higher than for new luxury. I'm Emily Stokel. I cover the resale market on pre-loved, and this story marks a major shift that's happening in fashion, something that vintage lovers knew was coming for a long time. But let's take a look at the numbers. Wall Street Journal reports the Real stock is up 200% in a year. File is already growing over 10% in 2025 and had their most profitable year last year. Meanwhile, new luxury sales are flat for like 6 quarters straight. The thing is, shoppers used to sell their old pieces to fund the purchase of new pieces, maybe laddering up to that wish list luxury item. Now they're selling items from their closet to buy vintage. Vintage is the aspiration. And they're keeping their closet money in the resale ecosystem. Why is this happening? Well, years of price hikes are definitely hitting a wall. And luxury brands are kind of panicking. What do I think is going to happen next? Well, some luxury brands will double down on their resale program, which, let's be honest, have been kind of underwhelming so far. I don't even think this is the best way for luxury brands to go. I think it would make more long-term impact for them to focus on things like repair programs, kind of winning back that mentality that it's the aspirational, meant to last, like you'll have it in your closet forever type of piece. Or even things like customization, like really trying to get the customers attached to those pieces again. But we'll see how that goes. Other luxury brands, cough, Chanel, are likely to get even more litigious, cracking down on resellers even more to try to control the market that they're losing. This is the kind of intel I break down every week in my newsletter. Your vintage.
Okay, so, and this creator, her name was Emily Stodel. Emily Mstochi. Now, what she was saying was that luxury houses like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all of the bigger brands are now losing out on sales to their vintage older pieces. And it's more idealistic to own a vintage Chanel than a current Chanel. And she attributed some of that to pricing. Now, let's think about this. Back when these items were first coming out, while they were a higher price than the average purse or bag or etc., it still wasn't to the extreme that things are now. So where now a Hermes bag or a Louis Vuitton purse, even just a wallet could be $2,000. Back then, the same wallet probably was, let's say, in comparison to what stuff is today, it was $100 or $200. And now the fact that it's vintage makes it worth more. So now you're selling that vintage $100 item that you bought in 2001 for $1,000. It's still cheaper to buy the vintage wallet for $1,000 than the current wallet for $2,000. And you get the added bonus of saying, this is vintage from 2001. So why not go for that? Another thing she pointed out that I thought was a good idea was companies need to find ways to make customers attached to the item again. And one suggestion that she made was customization. I feel like customization is the only way to make customers feel attached personally to an item. I think it's the best way, because when you do get a Tiffany bracelet with an engraved note from your father, that Tiffany bracelet means so much more to you than anything else in the world would ever mean. So yes, I do think luxury brands need to 100% offer customizations wherever they can. And how can you do this in your brand to get customers? Everything we listen to here, everything I talk to you about is something you need to turn around and do for yourself or in your brand. How can you maybe even sell your own vintage pieces? For example, there are items or gowns that I made in 2012, 2013. Should I start marketing a vintage Monica Monique collection from the things that I made when I was in college or when I was in high school? It might sell. It might, but it might not. I could possibly just start collecting them and collecting those items as future vintage pieces. Like, oh, this will be released when it hits the 20-year mark, because I think it has to be 20 years old to be considered vintage anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it has to be 20 years old to be considered vintage. But yeah, if it's something that I made, let's say in 2015, I might post that and be like, this item will be saved until it hits the 20-year mark, and then this will be for release. And maybe when that time comes, it will be a $10,000 dress or something like that. Think about it. Also, think about adding the year that you made something to your tags. I think that is also like a really cool idea in a way to verify your own vintage pieces in your own collection. Like, do you have a way to signal what year it came out other than like the online posts and everything else? Like, is there a way that your customer can know that the item they have in their closet is from your 2020 collection? As smaller brands, we don't think about this, but these are things that bigger brands are doing that we need to incorporate into our brands so that they last or stand the test of time and are more memorable. Okay, let's get into the next topic. Okay, let's take a listen to this.
Who would like some controversial advice? It only takes one stunt to make your brand iconic. Come here, because the thing that nobody else is going to tell you is that the stunt doesn't actually have to be real. It just has to feel real. Let me explain. When Frank Sinatra was nobody, his publicist auditioned girls to scream at his performances. And what happened next? The crowd started screaming with them. One, nobody wants to be the first to do something. And two, everyone wants to be part of something that everyone already loves. Red Bull didn't become the drink of champions because it tastes good. They put their empty cans in high traffic areas like nightclubs, college campuses, bars. Again, empty cans are telling people everyone else is already drinking this. And probably my favorite example is Jo Malone. She got this better than anyone because she was opening a concession inside Bergdorf Goodman with a big fat zero marketing budget. So she calls up 50 people and she makes them an offer. Will you carry my empty branded shopping bags in fashionable districts whenever you leave the house? Her husband even asked her, the bags are empty, what's the point? And she replied saying, well, nobody else knows that. So here's the main point. Perception is not reality. Perception creates reality. If you control the narrative, you control perception. And if you control perception, you control everything.
Okay, so again, I love controversial advice and kind of making a scene when there is nothing to actually be seen. I think it's like similar to like the new Apple iPhones. Like, oh my God, everybody get in line. Let's wait for the new phone that looks exactly like the last 15 models. Exactly like the last 15 models. Oh, it's something new. It's something great. It has 0.0000.1 new lens focal point. It's literally nothing. It's literally nothing. But the fact that everybody is in line waiting for it makes it what it is. Same thing with this Starbucks. Starbucks, if you are under a rock, Starbucks recently had this launch of this bear cup. And I maybe it's just me, but I'm just not into the cups. Why are y'all into the cups? Why do y'all care about cups so much? It's a cup. Either way, Starbucks launched this teddy bear cup. People all over the US waiting in lines at all different Starbucks locations. Everybody on TikTok who worked at Starbucks seemed to say they only sent 2 mugs to each Starbucks. So all these long lines of hundreds of people, only the first 2 people was going to get the cup and everybody else was just at Starbucks. So I'm assuming they probably after waiting that long in line was like, well, might as well get a coffee. And they might as well. What can you do in your business to create this hype? Can people walk around with your empty shopping bags and have everybody ask like, where'd you get that from? What kind of store is that? Does your shopping bag look different enough for people to actually ask about it? What kind of scene can you have be made? AI is AI for a reason. Can you make an AI video where it looks like there are long lines of people waiting for your store opening or for your store to open on Monday? Can you use AI to create videos of people walking around with your shopping bags? Because you 100% can. Can you create hype around a product that is just completely insane and useless and have people comment and share it and act like this is the best thing they've ever seen in their life? Like, and let it be a plain white tee. Please let it be a plain white tee and have people act like, oh my God, I never seen a t-shirt like that before. Like, literally, what can you do in your brand to create hype and to make it appear to be better and crazier than what it is? Just try it. It's worth trying. People want what other people have. Again, she said in this clip that Red Bull started advertising by having all these trash cans with empty Red Bulls in the trash can at different festivals and events, making people think that this was everything that other people were drinking, so you should be drinking it too. What is something like that you can incorporate into your company? Think about it and let me know what you come up with, because I am going to be doing the same. I'm actually probably going to create an AI video where it looks like there are lines wrapped around the block for my store. If you want to see me do that, definitely follow my YouTube channel, which is Monica Monique Shop. Also, my TikTok is Monica Monique Shop. Also, my Instagram is Monica Monique Shop. So anyway, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make a video where it looks like people are wrapped around the block waiting for my store to open. And maybe I'll make another video where people are walking around the city in different cities with my shopping bag. I'll probably have to create a new shopping bag because I will want my shopping bag to be cool and different and ridiculous, because that's what it literally has to be. It has to be ridiculous for people to be like, hey, what is that? Let me see what that is. Let me ask about this. So if you want to watch me create that with AI, definitely follow my social medias and my YouTube, where I will go into depth about making it. But in the meantime, think about what you can do in your company to create that type of wanting for your brand. And think about trying to go for some awards, trying to participate in some fashion events, something where you can have a connection to these bigger fashion labels, get your name known, get your name talked about in these rooms, to where you can be the creative director of maybe not a big company like Louis Vuitton, but maybe other companies, or you can just even get a job in the fashion corporate where you can see how it works behind the scenes. Because while I do think that owning your own company is great and starting from the bottom is great and building your own legacy is great, it is also great to have other people's money and to see how things work behind the scenes of brands that have a $2 million, a $10 million, a $20 million, a $200 million budget. And I think that experience is very important. All right, you guys. So that is my fashion update for this week and fashion business advice for this week. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.